Today is November 14, year 2020. My name is Mirna Campos. I'm interviewing Guillermo Campos for the University Library Special Collections and Archives at the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley, hereafter abbreviated as UTRGV. This project is in partnership with Voces Oral History Center at University of Texas at Austin. Please know, Mr. Campos, that this interview will be placed in the University Library Special Collections and Archives at UTRGV and shared with the Voces Oral History Center at University of Texas at Austin. If there is anything you do not wish to answer or talk about, I will honor your wishes. Also, if there is something you want to talk about, please bring it up and we'll hear about it. The University Library Special Collections and Archives will archive your interview along with other photographs and other documentation you're willing to share with UTRGV University Library. Will restrain copyright or non-exclusive rights to the interview and other materials you donate to Special Collections and Archives at UTRGV. Because we are not conducting this interview in person, I need to record you consent to make sure that you agree with the interviews before we continue. So I'll ask you a series of 6 questions. Please say, yes, I agree, or no, I do not agree after each question. Do you give University Library Special Collections and Archives at UTRGV consent to archive your interview and your material at UTRGV University Library?
Yes,
Do you grant UTRGV University Library Special Collections and Archives right, title, and interest in copyright over the interview and any materials you provide?
yes,
Do you agree to allow UTRGV University Library Special Collections and Archives to post this interview on the internet where it may be viewed by people around the world?
yes,
Do you grant the University Library Special Collections and Archives to consent to share your Zoom interview with the Voces Oral History Center at University of Texas at Austin for inclusion in the Voices of a Pandemic Oral History mini project, which will include posting the interview on the internet?
yes,
As you recall, we previously filed the pre-interview form. We use this information, the pre-interview form, to help in research. The entire form is kept secure at Voces server at the University of Texas at Austin. Before Voces sends UTRGV University Library Special Collections and Archives, we would have stripped you out of any contact information for yourself or family members, so that will not be a part of the public file. Your public file will only be accessible at UTRGV University Library. The final 2 questions I ask for your consent on what I just described. Do you wish for UTRGV to share the rest of your interview in the public file available to UTRGV researchers at the University Library Special Collections and Archives?
yes,
On occasion, UTRGV Special Collections and Archives and Voces receive requests from journalists who wish to contact our interview subjects. We only deal with legitimate news outlets. Do you give consent for us to share your phone numbers or your email with journalists?
yes.
Thank you for your consent. Your experiences and stories mean a lot to UTRGV Special Collections and Archives. I look forward to what you have to say in the interview questions. I will now ask. Mr. Campos, thank you for your time. Like I said earlier, your stories and experiences are available to us at UTRGV Special Collections and Archives and the Voices Project, particularly at UTRGV Special Collections. We are committed to preserving stories of Mexican American Latinos from South Texas and the Texas Rio Grande Valley, and those who closely work with these populations. During this COVID-19 pandemic, because you are an essential worker, I know you have many meaningful stories and experiences to share on how COVID-19 has impacted these roles you carry out in your life. So before I ask you to share stories about your life in this pandemic, tell us, who is Guillermo Campos?
Guillermo Campos is a master electrician in Laredo, Texas.
Okay. So the first question I want to ask you is, when did you first hear about COVID-19 and how did you learn about it?
Well, I heard in the news that it was a kind of flu spreading through China, and um, and I heard about it, when it was H1N1 back then, and I got sick that time, and so I kind of was familiar with it, with this kind of flus coming. But I just heard in the news that this was was more serious than the other one. But that's all I heard. Then it was developing in China.
Okay, so what was your first reaction to the information about COVID-19?
Well, with the experience, my little girl, when it was H1N1, we send them with a mask, and I heard about it that, some people, want, little kids, making fun of it, but we never thought, this will change with time. And the more we hear about it, the best it was very serious and very contagious, and we didn't know anything about it. We didn't have enough information, so that got us worried. But with here, it's just so far away, so we never thought we will it would spread that quick, that fast, and it will come to some other countries. So we're not really concerned about it back then till we start developing with the days.
Yeah. So at what point did you realize that this pandemic was a zero life altering event?
Excuse me.
At what point did you realize that this pandemic was a serious life altering event?
Well, when we heard about that people were, being affected real bad with this disease, and people started, like the death toll started climbing and climbing and climbing, and we got concerns about it, and me especially being a master electrician, being out in the field and having contact with people all the time, and people were traveling and heard about it. It got me concerned one thing that when I heard about it, some people were getting sick in China and they were trying, to fly into the States because in an emergency. That's what one of my main concerns. Why are they sending them over here? You know, I thought it was containment, but no, it didn't seem that way. They were just, bringing them over here, for treatment and things. That's what we heard. So that really got me concerned. And especially if you work, in a university where people come and go, and being an electrician, like you go to public places. So we got concerned about it, and we started hearing every day, and we needed more information, and most people didn't have it.
Definitely. So, over the last few months, what news media, social media, or other sources do you rely on to keep you informed about coronavirus?
Well, actually, I work for the city of Laredo, so they were really concerned about it. Uh, City officials, kept us well informed, and states that needed to be taken care of, and they were quick about it. Here in Laredo, they were quick about it. People started coming in at different hours, um, not to have contact, and public places were closed. Um, we started building, plastic screen, isolating the offices, So we were pretty quick here in the city. So we were well informed, and stay away from people. Don't go to crowded places. So as far as I'm concerned, in the city we were well informed, and they really took action right away. And everybody had meetings, and especially with um, we were using the media to communicate also, instead of and getting in meetings together. No, no, we use the media. We use what we had on hand, and also we kind of slowed down. We took a week off, and then we went to work 1 week, and then we simultaneously, just to keep people separated, and it did work pretty well. It really worked because numbers were down.
Okay, so can you share with me what you understand about COVID-19 as an infectious disease?
Well, like I said, I had an experience when H1N1, and I was isolated also back then. And I went through it, and I knew the symptoms of a real bad flu. So when I was getting informed, like health issues and that it will get worse, so we were really, feeling like if you had a sign like a sore throat or things like that, we're really concerned about it. It's just like flu symptoms, anything, everybody. So we stay away from each other sometimes when somebody was coughing and things like that. We were really concerned about it. Not scared, no, 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 but really concerned about it, and you gotta get tested. And one of the things, people were getting tested. Some people didn't want to go because they said, well, if somebody's going to be tested, what if he is positive and I'm going to be there? So people didn't go to get tested. Some of them didn't. I didn't. I tried to stay away because our focus was say, well, maybe that's the place where we're getting infected. We don't know yet. So different people took different steps. Um, and most of us, kept away. Don't go to public places. Don't go buy groceries. Just go at once. We didn't go and see like long lines. No, don't go, but you might get infected there. Like I said, we were well informed. We were well informed, especially here at the border. Like don't go across um, because here is critical. People come and go, and it's a lot of people travels here. Probably one of the ports. And it's very important. And we were really, that's why we were really informed and really concerned here at the border. I don't know if in little towns and things like that, but here we were really well informed and on the day, every day.
Likewise, can you share with me what you don't understand about this new coronavirus?
Well, how it spreads is a question. We heard so many different stories. Um, when it can survive or when you can get infected, uh, especially public places. If you go even to go and get water, even to go to a place to get you bottled water, you are really concerned about it. Gas stations because of the spreading. You go in and fill gas and use the liquid one time, two times, three times, four times, and wash your clothes, your shoes. So we didn't understand until we take every measure that we could get our hands on. And especially also working as an electrician, you go to public places. You know, people need service. People needs maintenance. That's not going to stop, especially electrical. You know, so we have concerns about it. You have to go and you have to do whatever you need. That's what it was called essential. We're essential workers. Some of us are. I'm an electrician. I'm part of it. And we didn't know you're gonna catch it or not. You know, especially if they tell you you're gonna see results in after 2 weeks if you did. So
Definitely.
every day was an ongoing thing that you couldn't get your mind off of it. But help me out being in the service. So we get concerned about things, but you don't let them get to you. And that was one of the experiences. Even today, I keep my mind open, listen, do whatever you have to do. You know, get with the program, follow rules. That's the main thing, and don't let it get to you.
So, would you take the first COVID-19 vaccine available on the market? Why or why not?
Yes, I will take it. I will take it. I don't think they're going to put a vaccine out there, that is really dangerous. I know it's going to be a few cases. Like I said, being in the military, we had to take shots wherever we went. We had to take different, not one, not two, not three, maybe more. It depends where you're going, and if we need to take the vaccine, we need to take it,
So does
even
your
if there's some risks.
hmm
Even if there's some risk, there's a risk in everything. See, when you go to a surgery room, you don't know what's going to happen. They're going to do the best they can. So we're doing the best we can with what we have. And that's what we have. Even medications, different medications, and see what it works. And like some people started taking some home medications for this disease. We still haven't heard about it. They work, they didn't work, and maybe it worked for somebody. See, but with home remedies, you know, and we took every step that we could. Even here, there was there some home remedies. Take whatever you have on hand.
Mhm.
Why not take the shot? I don't see any reason not to do it.
Yeah. So does your family hold the same beliefs as you about COVID-19, or are there some members who take it more seriously or lightly?
Well, some they were really concerned, most of it because of the health problems. Because you might have some complications with whatever sickness you might have right now. So they were really more worried about that. And going to public places, isolate yourself, and what to do. But I guess the best thing, like here around the house, okay, we know it's out there 1 week at home, and you find things to do, a lot of things to do. Me fixing things around the house, that keeps me going. But I wonder some of the people, don't have the same thing. So it's a crisis, but you need to don't let it get to you, and talk to people. Tell them, how you feel about it. Tell them what's going on. Um, Make a comment, think something, don't let it get to you, especially, with the family, with the kids and everything, and let them know what's going on. People is working on it, and let's not get everybody panicked, because that's not going to help. That's not going to help. Just keep calm, you know. Thank God nowadays we have technology, help us a lot, and we can get some news and be home, be with the family, enjoy it. Sometimes we're not used to it nowadays, like before, like when we were little kids. But probably was time to come back and doing the way we were back then, when we didn't have too much TV, too much communications. I guess we went back a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. So, for the next set of questions, I'd like to talk to you about how you've seen COVID-19 affect family members and friends. Also, because you're from a border town area, I had a chance to had a chance to visit Mexico. These set of questions will also ask how you'd compare the response to COVID-19 in Texas versus Mexico. So, Mr. Campos, let's talk about your family from Mexico. Where do they live, and are they allowed to cross the border to visit in Texas? And how long has it been since the first quarantine before you could cross the border to see your family?
Well, well, they had to take some different steps. You know, Essential workers, they can cross, and essential things that you need to do. You can't stop everybody. Everybody's taking chances. You do things to minimize travel. You know, whatever is on hand. And they took really good measures. Uh, even taking losses. Even taking losses. And I'm talking about economic losses, because some people didn't have a job no more. But that's what happens, and even in wartime, things happen. So with these things happen and are still happening. Some people losing jobs, closing restaurants, closing things, and you couldn't go to some place and have a decent meal and enjoy it and everything. No, not anymore. Not going to the movies, not, even at work. See, you wouldn't save working, even with all the steps you can take, because you don't know when somebody's gonna catch the disease, and some people don't even know where they did. See, that was one of the concerns in family, and even going to the groceries. You couldn't go no more. Even little kids, and then at night you couldn't go out at night. It was like a curfew. But like I said, I lived with curfew before, so it wouldn't be no problem. But it hurt a lot of people. A lot of people. A lot of people lost their jobs. I even used to do works on the side. Couldn't do them no more. Because I was not gonna risk myself, risk somebody else. And some people did the same thing. They stopped working. They completely they didn't do extra little jobs and things like that. No, it's not worth it. Go out there and get infected, and no good service no more in some areas, and at work also, because you couldn't do a lot of things that you were supposed to. Try to cut down, so you don't give you don't give good service, not public service, even banks, things like that. It affected everybody. You couldn't do a lot of things. You couldn't even go to play soccer. You couldn't even go jogging because you were not sure if you were going to get it or not. Fields are empty. People used to go jogging, empty. So you actually had to stay home, and that was one of the main concerns of everybody. And who's gonna take care of the kids being home? Who's gonna take care of the house? You had somebody cleaning your house. Who's gonna clean your house? Who's gonna help you?
Yeah.
So and you couldn't go. You couldn't go to every store things that you needed. Even going to the mechanic was a concern. Even having somebody come to your house to do something. Am I gonna call? No, you're not gonna call him. Why? Because we're concerned about the health. But I need somebody to take care of this. Yeah, but you're gonna call him. So you had second thoughts about it.
Okay. Hold on a second. Your camera turned off? Okay, can you hear me?
See.
Okay. So thank you for being back, Mr. Campos. Let's continue with the questions. Okay. So while visiting Nuevo Laredo, did you notice any visible different social awareness, for example, mask wearing, restaurant dining, or social distancing?
More than anything else is social distancing.
Okay. So how would you compare what you witnessed in Mexico to what you observe in Laredo and the state of Texas?
The difference, uh, well, is in Laredo, Texas, you don't see too many crowds. In Mexico, you see a lot of crowds everywhere.
Okay, so can you tell me what health precautions you may take in Mexico versus in Laredo?
You got to stay away from the crowds more than anything else in Mexico. Here, you don't have that problem, very often. But in Mexico, you do, because everywhere you go, there's crowdy streets.
Okay, so from our pre-interview, you mentioned that you have a sister who lives in San Antonio. You also mentioned that she works for an import-export company. Can you share how she and the rest of her family are holding up? Do you know if her job has been more challenging during these times?
Well, actually, with the media, no, because they started working from their houses with a computer, so it didn't affect them too much in that area.
Okay. You also mentioned that you're the sole income provider for your family. Can you tell me about how your job in Laredo? Can you tell me about your job in Laredo, and what you do?
I'm a master electrician, and I work in maintenance for the city of Laredo, so it didn't affect us too much, because well, there's always something to do.
Okay. How would you say that the city is taking precautions for workers such as yourself?
Well, coming in at different hours, just to avoid crowds. One thing, don't punch in the computer, get a head count, and cleaning the vehicles, disinfecting them, um, having everything available, like watching hand stations, and also disinfecting most of the areas we work at, very often. That's 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 most of the things that we did.
Okay, so can you describe the precautions that you take in your job, if you have any?
Well, masks, um, and wash your hands constantly, sanitizer, and also, like I said, it's cleaning of the vehicles, disinfecting them, disinfecting the areas also.
Okay, so how has the pandemic affected your finances? Do you see more or less equal during the pandemic?
Well, work started slowing down because, like I said, people didn't want to sit in their houses. So that was one of the main things. But us working as maintenance, well, we try to keep the buildings, the public buildings, safe and clean. That was most of the things we did.
Okay, so continuing this, you previously mentioned that you attended church. So I want to follow up with these questions. In our pre-interview, you said that you were a man of Christian beliefs. Can you share some stories of how your faith is helping you and your family get through this pandemic?
Well, whatever, like in the media, we get our church going through the media, and so it didn't affect us at all. We start getting messages and through the media and get connected. So it didn't affect us, because well, we didn't need to be together, and we can always pray, and be in touch.
Okay, so can you tell me how the pandemic has changed your church going practices?
No, not at all, because we kept the same schedule. So, and like I said, we can always go to the media and be learning, studying the Bible. So it didn't affect us too much.
Okay, so what health precautions, if any, has your congregation used to help slow the spread of coronavirus?
Well, you wanted to assist and get into a meeting, just social distancing. Just keep the profile. Just follow up rules. Most of it.
Okay, so next, do you feel like working out of the house compared from working to home has helped you in some way, mentally, physically, or both?
No, didn't not too many changes. It's just kind of went slow because of doing this through the media, and but no, it didn't affect us too much on that because like we were doing it like that before, so we didn't have too many changes.
Okay, so after a hard day's work, what are things that you find yourself doing relaxing at home?
Well, I'm the kind of person that fix everything around the house. So I started doing a lot of things that needed to be done. Like taking care of the house, gardening, construction, plumbing. Little things. So that kept us going.
Okay, how is the overall environment in your home? How do you feel your household is holding up mentally and physically during these times?
Well, the only thing that we miss is like going out because try to stay away from people, so we don't go out as often as we used to. No, no traveling or going out of town. We're trying to avoid that. That's what's one of the main things.
Have you and your family adapted to quarantine regulations and curfews that have been suggested?
Yes. We're trying to cope with that.
Okay. Can you describe some of the hobbies that help you and your family during these times?
Well, mostly gardening. We took care of all the trees and mostly gardening. That was most of the time. Being outside.
Okay. So, lastly, these are going to be the final questions. Are you satisfied with the response to COVID-19 in Webb County?
Well, yes, because I was like I said, I work for the city of Laredo, so we noticed that everybody was doing their part, and we kept aware and we took some measures, especially me being an electrician, we made a lot of changes on the public places, um, as far as protection and safeguarding the public, I think they responded very well because they closed the public places. We showed them the people what to do, how to get to the media, how to make payments online, and how to avoid contact, getting the construction permits, and all kinds of work, just to keep them safe. So I believe they were very aware of what was going on, and they were very aware of the situation and the safeguard of the people. So I think they responded very well, and fast enough because it came as a surprise for us that representatives from one day to the next, they were making some change right away, and they wanted to do it everything right away. Even also, like getting power generators and things like that, just to be in case, for the clinics and everything. So I think they responded very well.
Okay. Are you satisfied with the state response to COVID-19 led by your governor?
Uh, yes, I think they did very well, following the rules. I think they took a lot of responsibility, and that's why everybody acted right away, especially here because it was a border. So you have to make some decisions quick, fast, and effective. So I think they did a pretty good job, closing the borders and when they had to, with some regulation when they had to, and I think they handled it very well. We didn't have any situation getting out of hand because it's a lot of travel here. So it's a lot of people crossing. So they stopped that. So I think they did very well.
Okay. Are you satisfied with the national response to COVID-19 led by President Trump and his administration?
Well, there's been a lot of controversy on that, but We could have done it faster. Um, could have stopped traveling, and but maybe they did their part. They just didn't want anybody to know about it because they didn't want to panic people. So it takes quite a while to understand, what's going on. They handle crises like Ebola and all of the crises that we heard about. But like I said, this virus so unstable and how it was being transmitted, it put a lot of pressure on everybody. So it's hard to make a decision, what they did right or wrong. It's very complicated. But what they could have done is stop traveling right away, and that's one of the reasons that that's why the disease was one place to another. So I think they could have done more on that situation. And but who's about to know, what they did right or wrong? This it took a lot of people involved, so it's hard to tell who did what. It's hard to tell. So I will not put some stress on the president or anything. You have to make some decisions sometimes, and sometimes they don't want to make them. So it takes a lot of people involved. So it doesn't involve one person at all. It involves a lot.
So, if you had the power to respond to COVID-19, what would you do differently?
Excuse me.
If you had the power to respond to COVID-19, what would you do differently?
Mm, just isolate yourself to start with it, and but as people from the top to do the things that they have to. You can't control everybody. So the thing that I will do different is, act right away, get people informed right away of what's going on and what things to do as a community. Like I said, they responded quickly here, but I don't think it's the same case everywhere. People needs to be more prepared, more aware more aware and be conscious about it.
Definitely. So, as you know, this is a special year in our national democracy because it is a presidential voting year. Did you vote? And if so, did you notice or anything different of COVID-19 pandemic?
No, I didn't vote this time. I guess I'll put it this way: I let the Lord take care of it on faith, and I didn't go for either one of them um, because they got experience. They're not new, they've been there for quite a while. So no, I guess I didn't think I needed to do something to make a change this time. Not for me. Maybe for other people. Faith is what can carry through all of these kind of things. And you do what you're supposed to. You obey the rules. And faith, and let's keep going the same way.
Okay. So, is there anything else you'd like to share about your experiences with COVID-19 that I have not asked about?
Mm, no, actually, what I think that we can do is not to we need to pay more attention on the diseases and what are we doing because of man. Diseases grow, so we need to um, we need to not play with nature because there are consequences, and something might be worse than this because we're playing with nature and we're trying to change things. and we don't need to do that. I think just in a way, sometimes you just gotta say, leave it alone.
Definitely. So that's all the time that we have for today. Thank you, Mr. Campos, for your time. Bye.
Thank you.